Remember a time when we had, what was that called again? Oh yeah, variety in AAA gaming? Back when developers took risks and publishers actually wanted to make games that meant something. The industry was wild with experimentation, pushing tech boundaries and narrative structure alike. One week you'd be a Greek god killing your way through Olympus, the next you'd be an assassin exploring the rooftops of Renaissance Italy. First-person shooters, third-person shooters, horror hack-and-slash tied-in IPs with cartoon mascots or R-rated icons. There was something for everyone. Now, year after year, we're served the same lukewarm franchises reheated like last week's takeaway. Call of Duty, FIFA, Ubisoft, map simulators, lather, rinse, remake. Meanwhile, games like Army of Two, whet Dante's Inferno, and yes, today's subject gather dust in publisher vaults like forgotten relics of a better era. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Daemon, and today I'm dragging Electronic Arts down the rabbit hole they sealed off because Asylum should have been a triumphant return. Instead, we're left clutching a fan-made blueprint and praying for a miracle. Let's break this down. Asylum wasn't just some nostalgic cash grab, it was the long-awaited finale of a dark, psychologically charged trilogy that dared to reimagine Alice in Wonderland through a lens of trauma, abuse, and grief. It built off American McGee's Alice, a twisted masterpiece, and Madness Returns, which refined its platforming and turned the insanity into art. And for Asylum? Oh, the blueprint was there. McGee spent years crafting it with fans on Patreon, unveiling stunning concept art, domains built around the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, a narrative that dove deeper into Alice's mind than ever before. It was shaping up to be the definitive statement for the franchise. And then EA said no to funding it, no to licensing the IP, no to giving the fans what they'd waited over a decade for. Just like they've done with Dante's Inferno, just like they've done with every IP that isn't a sports sim or online shooter cash cow. McGee announced in April 2023 that the project was officially dead. And that sound you heard, that was the final shovel of dirt landing on the coffin of creative risk in AAA gaming. The entire story was already written. Alice would have traversed a wonderland shaped by grief, shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, slumber, and acceptance. Each domain not just a visual marvel, but a reflection of Alice's psyche. From a carnival of delusions in the denial stage to a burning replica of her family home in shock, it was rich with symbolic imagery and mature narrative beats. We'd finally confront loose threads from Madness Returns. What happened to Radcliffe and Pris Witless? What became of the children from the orphanage, and whether Alice could truly ever be free from the mental asylum in her own mind. And yes, the game wouldn't have just revisited trauma for trauma's sake. It had heart, it had resolution. It would have ended the trilogy with Alice taking full control over herself, mentally, emotionally, and metaphorically. And it would have been the one thing gaming desperately lacks today, a story-driven single-player experience with a clear identity, a bold voice in a sea of generic noise. Hell, we even had the perfect structural metaphor, the idea of Wonderland being fragmented like an atom, each domain a mental planet orbiting the chaos core, each level reflecting a piece of Alice's shattered mind. We don't get ideas like that in today's AAA scene. We get, open world with crafting. And here's the real kicker. While EA sat on their IP like a dragon on a hoard it doesn't understand, the anime world gave us something that hit many of the same themes. Parasite, The Maxim, an introspective body horror-laced saga where identity, control, and human morality collide with inhuman power. It struck gold because it took the subject matter seriously. It knew subtlety, it knew restraint, and it wasn't afraid to go there. And what did we get from the West? Another Gotham Knights. I, and so many others, would have happily paid full price for a remaster of the first two games bundled with a playable prologue or vertical slice of Asylum as proof of concept. EA could have tested the waters, but instead they opted to leave the fanbase to rot, hoping we'd move on. But we haven't, because, well, like a dream or maybe a nightmare or even a psychotic tea party, we're still trapped in Wonderland, consoles fired up, just praying for a miracle on dated hardware, and all the while Dante's Inferno, Yeah, another of EA's shelved classics remains untouched, despite all those promises of more. It's a pattern, isn't it? And honestly, it's painful. This isn't just about Alice Asylum. No, it's about an industry that's basically stopped listening, a system that eats risk for breakfast and spits out mediocrity by launch day. A publisher that can't see past annual revenue charts long enough to remember what games are supposed to be: art, escape, catharsis. As long as EA holds the IP and refuses to act, Alice is trapped. And, well, so are we. But if a fan project or indie team rises from the ashes, I'll be there. I'll follow that white rabbit because, you know, Wonderland deserves to live again. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where, naturally, I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.